Somebody called me 4 years ago when I was going to begin to do what I was going to do. And he asked me a question, and he said, "Where are you going with this?" And I said, "I'm just doing what I like to do, but I may end up globally, somehow, someday." And he said, "This thing you do about leadership, if you need somebody to help you, I would like to recommend somebody." Daddy doesn't know the person. And he said, "Dr. Wado Uza." I said, "I know that name. I've met that person. I've met him somewhere." And then I started researching. And up till now, I have not brought myself fully to come and submit, since I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm still a young man trying to find my feet. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. And Daddy, thank you so much for giving me this privilege and this honor. God bless you. Mommy, thank you. And every leader under the Diplomat Center, I honor the work you do, and I appreciate it very, very, very much. I see quite a few people I know in the midst. One of my very good pastor friends is here. And he just started his own, he's been in ministry, but he just started his own church. I happened to worship some few Sundays ago. An amazing person, in the person of Pastor Minor. I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I know there are many pastors here, there are many leaders here, but I'm still young, I don't know everybody. So please forgive me if I don't know you one-on-one. Forgive me, but I have honor in my heart for everyone sitting in this place. God bless every one of you. Now, our father said we'll just go straight to the point. I'm going to talk about the art of execution. That's what they say I should talk about, the art of execution. One of the biggest challenges we have in our time is leadership. But we are not here for leadership. Our father said we are here for leadership. Simply means the shifts that take place in a man that causes shifts around the man. We're talking about shifts that happen in culture that affect society. We're talking about shifts. And shifts can be forward, shifts can be backward, shifts can be positive, shifts can be negative. What we are considering here is, I over the years, I learned leadership from men. And then I went a step further to learn leadership from the person of Jesus Christ. And it was particular. I was very, very much in love with Jesus' leadership secrets because he still remains the most profound leader of all time. You don't have to like him. You don't have to love him. You don't have to be close to him. One of the things he does every time is that he fascinates you, that he could be carpenter today and he could be God tomorrow. So there's so many things we could learn about him. And I'm going to be talking about Jesus once in a while, but not in the religious context. I'm going to be talking about him in leadership context. For example, let me give you a story. There was a day in the life of this leader called Jesus Christ, and 5,000 people were hungry. He has spent 3 days with them. He had taught them for 3 days. He has done so many wonderful things for 3 days. And on the third day, he said, "Oh, conference has finished. Like you're going to be here for 3 days." It is absurd. It is an anomaly to spend 3 days interacting with knowledge and be the same. It's an abnormal. It's abnormal. And when he finished talking, he now said, I like him so much because he talks. Sometimes I used to think he's rude. Who believes it's the same thing? Yeah, he behaves as if he's rude. And then, by the way, he's the youngest among his disciples. And then he finished, he now turned and said, "Give them something to eat." Just like that. And don't forget, Jesus doesn't collect offering. So they have not collected offering. But I also like the disciples. When a man is old and he has suffered, he has answers to every question. I believe it was Peter that said, "Guy, calm down. we will need over 200 days' wages. Now, in Jesus' time, they don't pay per month. They pay per day. So even an ordinary laborer today, I'm into real estate. An ordinary laborer today, a mason collects about 5,000 per day. If you do that by 200, is 1 million naira. Even you know, if you spend 1 million naira to feed people, the people go chop. I'm trying to talk about a new dimension. I want somebody's mind to shift on leadership first. Then I'll talk about execution. And then one of them said, this is the problem. And then he asked the question I'm going to ask all of you at the end of this day. What do you have in your hands? I learned something from Jesus every time. He has never bothered about what is before him. He has never been intimidated by what is around him. He has always been interested what is available to him. We're in a generation now that we don't do what we are meant to do because we believe we don't have enough to do it. And that's the first problem. Look, listen to me. What is before you is not really as important as what is available to you. As a leader, your strength is in available resources, not in desired resources. What do you have? That was what he asked. Then they said, 5 loaves and what? 2 fish. Now let's look at management strategy. What he has is not enough. True or false? What did he do first? He told them, tell the people to sit in groups. In groups of what? In groups of 50. One translation said actually is in different groups. Some were 20, some were 50, some were 100. Why would Jesus do that? That's the first question you must ask yourself. So they sat 20, 50 like that. Then he told the 12, give me the bread. Then he held it. He prayed, remember? Then he prayed. And then when he prayed, he did what? He broke. These are principles. And when he broke it, he gave each of them. And then he told them, go and feed. As they went, what was in their hand grew. No, you don't get it. Do you get what I just said? The bread was responding to something. There is no bread that has capacity to grow by himself. Actually, bread is among the most useless products. I hope you know. So when they said when a woman destroys a man, they say it's like a bread. They describe a man that a woman has messed up to be like what? A bread inside what? Water. See, delegation, management first, administration, break it down. Then he called disciples. He didn't feed. He took what he had. He broke it down. Delegation. Then he left them with an instruction. Then he went back and he watched the movie. I was so interested when everybody was eating. You know, if it's your generation, we would have started a musical concert. The moment your bread exceeded the first 10 people, what would you have done? Some of us will leave the feeding and we will run home to print a poster. 16 systems of growing bread. We're in a generation where if something happens to you, you turn it into a ministry. That's why after some time, the ministry fails in your hand. Ministries are not products of events. They are products of a call. Same thing with leadership. Whether you are political, whether you are parent, whether you are educational, leadership is a call, it's a mandate. It's a trust. And then Jamilu, I was shocked when he told me something, Jamilu. He said, gather the crumbs. That's the part that I'm worried about. Daddy, people ate bread in a football field. How do you gather crumbs of bread on a sand, on the floor? You can see that even though he has power to multiply anything, inside him, he does not waste anything. And that taught me a significant lesson. Now, this short story I told you is one of the things that made me like him. I see him do dramatic things. It made me like him. So I'll be using some stories about him. Most of you think execution means action. It is not. That's one of the things I came to put in perspective tonight. In the time I have, I'm going to make you understand what execution means. Results are products of execution. To the extent of your execution is the extent of your result. Listen to me. Actions can be impotent. It is not every man that sleeps with a woman that impregnates the woman. It simply means there are actions that don't have capacity to produce results. But I studied Bible and I found out that every execution produces a result. I'd like to make you understand action and execution today. A friend of mine I respect so much will be talking about action tomorrow. Because the truth of the matter is that there is no execution without action. But it is important for you to know that execution is a kind of action. And it is the kind of action that produces the kind of results that you want. 4 years ago, I started a small platform with 6 boys. I was mocked. They said it can't happen. Number one, who are you to gather human beings for 5 hours and just talk to them and not feed them? It began to be a challenge. Oh, after the 4th meeting that day, I came one morning to the hall. Nobody came. I was the only one with fine suit and fine shoe. I actually just came back from America where I shook hands and I hugged John Maxwell. Yet, nobody showed. Plus the John Maxwell anointing. And I knew something was wrong. You know, some of you used to tell yourself and convince yourself that the thing in your hand is not yet big. It's because you are waiting for time. No, sir. If you don't apply what makes things grow big, the thing in your hand will last 100 years and it will small. Small things don't become big because of time. Time in itself does not have capacity to grow things. Am I making sense? You like the way I'm talking? Okay, I thought I was offending you already. Now, another word I like is disrupt. How many of you like that word? How many of you know Uber? Uber is a disruption. How many of you know, what do they call this company? Airbnb. Airbnb is a disruption. But most times, black people, when we think disrupt, we think scatter. Stop scattering things. Disrupt is not to scatter things. Jesus said this word. He said, I have come to fulfill the law. I didn't come to scatter it. It served its purpose while it lived. I am not a scatterer. I will disrupt it, but I'm not scattering it. Disruption is actually an intelligent move. It is an improvement over the old. Phone is an improvement over telephone. Mobile phone is a disruption. How many of you buy bring? You don't buy it. How many of you use fax? You don't fax anymore. There are disruptions in these industries. So one thing I want you to put at your back mind is that God can give you an idea that will produce disruption, but God does not scatter things to bring new things. He's a progressive person. And something I love about him, let's look at 2 disruptions. Remember? An eye for an eye. Remember that one? When he came, he said, they told you, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He said, but I say to you, disruption. Love your enemy. How many of you have practiced that skill? Give to whomsoever asks you. If anybody is struggling to take one from you, he said, give him room in case the person changes or he takes another from you. What kind of style is that? I know you. I know you here. You have a plan. If you can't kill your enemy, you distance yourself from your enemy. And then you have an excuse to say, waiting, they no fit touch, they no fit touch her. No, that's not what Jesus said. He said they want to take your shirt, your coat. He said coat. He said give your shirt. How? It was a disruption he was bringing. It was a disruption he was bringing. And those shifts changed everything. Those shifts change everything. Now, two things I've pointed out. That Jesus was a fantastic leader. Second thing I'm trying to prove again, I'm trying to say is that what? If we don't make shifts, we won't make improvements in our time. Shifts precedes improvement. We have to shift. And the first thing we must shift is how we think. It's how we think. You know, I'm privileged by God to travel a little around the world. And one of the most fantastic things anytime I travel is how people in shops treat people who buy. And the way they do it in Nigeria. You go to a boutique with your own 100,000. The sales girl is rushing you. She is frowning that you are trying to find your size. She is offended that you are taking too much time asking questions about what you like. And I ask myself, who is here because of who? You go to Europe, you go to US, you go to Dubai, you will pick a shirt, do it like this, I don't like them, drop them, pick. Somebody will be following you and be smiling. Sir, check the other one. They are even showing you the one to scatter. Why? If they treat you well, conscience will force you to buy. We have a tendency to be good to people who are good to us. But here, okay? My madam don't reach us. Me, I go soon, they go. I just brought part of the money they used to pay you salary. Has anybody experienced it before? If you have not experienced it, you don't have money or you're not buying anything. In this country, anywhere you go to buy something, you must meet that kind of a person. From market, from person selling 20 naira food to somebody selling 2 million naira stuff. Why? Culture. Culture. Even in our homes, we say, I love you, mommy, with a motive. When husband is telling wife, I love you, there's a motive. We begin, suddenly you will say, this thing not there here before. You quickly go inside and check your asusu. Somebody here knows I'm saying the truth. If you don't shift cultures, that is something happened 4 days ago. I was in Port Harcourt to launch a platform. And I came back. The moment I landed, I went straight to pick my son from school. So when I entered, I was with my protocol, who is sitting beside me. And I said, good to see you, David. And I said, yes, Dad. So what's up? I said, I'm fine. Why are you looking normal? He said, what? I said, I came from a trip to pick you from school. You should be happy. He said, there's nothing to be happy about. Is it not you? You know, I just made you laugh. But I'd like to ask you, can your son remind you that something you are doing is a behavior or you're a game player at home? That's the leadership I'm asking you now. Is it not you? And I said, what do you mean by, is it not me? He said, Daddy, as long as you are available, you pick me up. because I have picked him up since the day he started school. Except I'm not in the country, except I'm not in this town. But if I'm in this town, it does not matter what I'm doing. It does not matter the meeting I'm attending. I pick my son from school. I don't care what I'm doing. I pick my son from school. It was just a culture for me. No longer excites my son. Why? For him, it's normal. What we call normal are first of all strange things that you make normal. Try telling your son, I love you every day. You'll be shocked about perspective that will shift in your son's life. That's the first leadership secret that we have lost. Nigeria is as bad as parents. Somebody say amen. Nigeria is as bad as what? Yes. The problem in Nigeria is not the government. The problem in Nigeria is parents. We prepare our children to become strange. But after this conference, we are going to bring disruptions, homes, schools, and offices. We are going to change things. That the integrity is strange now. For a young man, service is a bribe. I took my protocol to go and visit my mentor. I have served the same man for 32 years. And he says, how would you, in this your level, clean a shoe for a man? I said, because I started cleaning it when I had no level. So, the man had level when I was cleaning his shoe. Today, he has level. My level notwithstanding. Why? Because it was a culture for me to serve. Today, we don't serve anybody. The moment things begin to happen for you, the first thing you want to do is to leave the person that is above you. We are so independent-minded and so foolish in decision. Who told you there has never been a man born of a woman that can stand alone? There has never been, there will never be. It has always not been good for a man to be alone. It will never change. A man that is alone is not a good thing. That scripture was not for marriage. I'm still introducing my topic. And I know we are mixed here, so that's why I'm using proper words. On Sunday morning, I'll preach. I'll preach. Yes, it's interesting to preach. I'll preach. So I wrote some things down so we can have a very good guide. And then we can develop ourselves. So I was telling you a story. Nobody came. I got angry. The next meeting, I decided to prepare snack. And when I landed the hall, Mommy, you need to see your boy. I went into my wardrobe. I brought out my Hugo Boss suit and jacket. Blazer. My brother. I decided to do general overseer. General overseers don't come early. So I told them to start the program for 1 hour before I come. Daddy, after 1 hour I called. The team are still there. Nobody has come. I knew my anointing has failed. The person speaking to you tomorrow came with 6 members. So if he didn't come, nobody would have come. He came with 6 people. One person brought 6 people. And when he was going, how many of them left? You got it right. So I had to speak looking at him. In my mind, I'm just saying, if you move. Today I'm being celebrated everywhere because 600, 900 people gather for the same event. No food, no water, 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. in the evening. And they sit down and they listen. And when I'm done, some sit down and ask if I can just talk to them. What changed? That's why I came. Something changed. I shifted from the normal way of doing things. I shifted. Now, Every one of you here has an idea. Every one of you here has a desire. Now, you may be a preacher here who wants to grow your church. You may be a leader here who wants to grow your business. You may be a student here who wants to get first class. But every one of you sitting down here carries something quiet in your heart. There's always an idea hidden in our hearts. But the difference between an idea that works is execution. You must understand that every idea is worth $1 billion. Every idea is worth $1 billion. And also every idea is worth nothing. Every seed is a tree. Not every seed becomes a tree. Every sperm is a child, but not every sperm will become a child. The difference between these things is execution. How do you execute? What does it mean? Why is it relevant? Why is it important? How are you going to go about yours in your life? Success is a product of execution. Success is not a product of an idea. Success is a product of an executed idea. Every success comes from an idea, but every success comes from an idea you intervene upon. What is execution? First word I want you to remember is that execution is an intervention. When we say execute, we mean intervene. We mean interrupt. Are you intervening on your ideas? That thing you have been thinking. How many of you have one idea and then you wasted time, then you came out one day, somebody has done it? Please, if it has happened to you, raise up your hand. We are many. Do you know what an idea is? An idea is like the way birds fly in the sky. It's actually one of the cheapest things to get. People used to go and do vigil for 8 days to get an idea. It's not hard. It's easy to get. It's easy. Idea no hard. It's easy. There is a particular way you have been thinking. If suddenly you start thinking another way, it's an idea. You sell something. The way you sell it every day, suddenly you are in the bathroom and you started thinking of another way to sell it. Is an idea. But most of you do not like intervening upon it. Why? When you are familiar with a thing, it becomes easy to do. That's what we call comfort zone. Comfort zone is not that comfort is bad. It's just that you are familiar with yourself and your environment to the point whereby you are not stretched. You are soon becoming useless to yourself. That's what comfort zone means. Because any man that is comfortable is not going to grow. I know some people used to say, if I can just get 10 million, my whole life will change. Then the 10 million came. Then you calculated between school fees and house and everything, only 2 million remain. Suddenly you went down and wrote a new goal. It looks as if I will need more than 10. I need 40. Am I making sense? Success, number 2, is about what you do and mostly how you do it. It's about what you do and mostly how you do. Do you know many people do the same thing? Have you noticed on a street, there are shago? You know what we call shago? But one is doing well more than the others on the same street. I read a story and it was fascinating. How many of you remember Dr. Yonggi Cho? To his church, you keep passing churches to his church, even on the last turn of the street. And his church has 1 million members. And some of those churches on the road don't have 200. I want to ask, where did the 1 million people pass? You see, we don't like being honest. And some of us, we are already too, we like mediocrity so much. We can't even ask ourselves honest question. Why would Mama Ridi sell the same thing with me? And Mama Ridi has expanded shop 6 times in 2 years. The same street we are staying. At least, if you are not bothered, get a Babalawo to check if they cost you. Stop assuming. And some of you have transferred your responsibility to time. You keep saying, my time will come. It came long ago. It has passed. What you are waiting for is no longer time. It is time that is waiting for you. Now, I've introduced well. She have introduced well. So now let me talk about execution. Cool? I want my time to, when I'm talking serious thing, I want the time to be against me. When you are comfortable, you begin to tell story that doesn't concern God. So I don't want to be comfortable. Why is execution important? It takes execution to unlock every kind of results. It takes execution to unlock every kind of result. Business, political, marital, financial, emotional. Have you noticed people who have nothing to say are bold on Facebook? I didn't see my elder brother here. Good to see you, sir. One of my seniors when I was in secondary school, he bullied me. God catch him. Now he's listening to me. Honorable Bilal, I love you so much. Good to see you. Please put your hands together for my friend. Put your hands together for my friend. He's now my friend. He was my school father at that time. A bullish one. He used to flog me. Maybe it's part of the reason I became good. I'm going to talk about 5 things. And then I'll continue. I'll close with a story from the Bible, 2 stories about the power of execution. And then, don't miss Sunday morning. I'll be talking critically on one subject. Why sit we here till we die? It's a question I want us to keep asking. Why should we stay here till we die? What does that question mean? What's the import of that question? So, we all have something in mind. All of us have something in our minds, but Daddy, not all of us have something in our hands. It's good to write that one. So that when you go home, you will not be bitter with people who have things in their hand. Because that's what I came to teach you. We all have something in our minds, but we all don't have something in our hands. Every one of us have a dream in our minds, but not all of us here are living our dream. The question is, what is in your mind? Don't be afraid. Hear what I'm about to say. What is in your mind is valid. What is in your mind is possible. What is in your mind can happen. But what is in your mind will not just happen. And the things in your mind don't just enter your hand. The bridge between your mind and your hand is execution. Execution is a bridge that connects mental ideas to tangible products. It takes an execution on a dream in your mind to have reality in your hands. What is in your hand all came from your mind. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of your life. I agree with you that there are witches in your village. I agree with you that men are bad. I agree with you that there's wickedness everywhere. But 90% of your events are your own creation. %90. If you have given birth to this life that you don't like, why don't you make a shift so that in a few years you can give birth to a life that you want? 2006, 29 years old Elisha Mammam, no job, no degree, watching cartoon, frustrated. I had diploma in business administration, distinction. The school I had distinction refused to give me direct entry. What kind of school is that? Is direct entry not supposed to be automatic for distinction? They didn't give me. I know it was not normal, but I didn't have time to blame the school. So I took my diploma home. While I was sitting at home, I got a call. And when I got the call, I resumed in the office where I got the call. It was my mentor. And he said, "We are starting something new. I'm looking for trusted hands. And I trust you. So, you will start work today. No letter. No CV. And you know, don't get employed without letter and without CV. Your salary will be a decision on dining table. Na kukabiashi. Talatin? Kurege. That's how they will decide your destiny." And so I went and I started work. I didn't like the work. And I have served this man all my youth. So I was becoming bitter. You know, I thought because Jemilu knows me, and Jemilu has become a billionaire with 4 companies, I thought Jemilu should just hire me to do MD of one company. If you are thinking like that, you are entitled. Stop thinking like that. You are not that important. I kept that bitterness for a long time. And I found out that instead of being bitter, I can become sweet. And I found out something. All you need to gather influence is become sweet. Take sugar, dump it here, ants will gather. Cover the sugar with cloth, ant will gather. Cover the sugar with paper, ant will gather. Put human being to protect the sugar, ant will enter. I stopped being bitter. I started finding how to become sweet. Less than 3 months, I was promoted. Less than 1 year, I was promoted. And for 5 years straight, my salary changed. 5 straight years every year. Whether it is general, it does not concern my own changes. And I found out that there is something that makes men relevant. There is something that makes men valuable. There is something that makes your life tangible. You are as attractive as your mind. You are not as attractive as your shoe. You are not as attractive as your kaftan. Some of you overdress to buy value. Value does not come by clothes. Dolce and Gabbana already have that value. It's not your own. They have paid them for that value. You are among those who paid them for that value. Looking rich is not being rich. Shouting is not influence. What do you need to do? Question you need to ask yourself. That thing in my hand is too small. How can I turn it big? I want my business to be bigger. I want my leadership skill to be bigger. I want more loyalty. I have people, but nobody's loyal. I want loyalty. You know what loyalty means? Loyalty is people doing what they are supposed to do behind you as if you were before them. Amazing stuff. Now, the first thing you must sort out is this. If you want to talk execution, you must first talk about goals. For the joy that was set before him, he endured cross. He despised shame for the joy that was set before him. Paul said, this one thing I do, I am doing it because of that which I have said. He said, I have not yet apprehended. I have not yet attained. I have not yet reached it. But this one thing I do, I execute. Meaning, execution is not execution except there is a goal to which you execute. Every time you do something without a target, you actually have done nothing. That's what people say, I work very hard, but nothing is happening. No. Hard work without a target is wasted work. You need a target. What is a goal? A goal is simply a desired outcome to which all your efforts from today will be directed. A goal is an end to which your lifestyle must be adjusted for. A goal is a thing that you need to have, that you need to be, that you need to do within a specific time to make your life happy. No goals, no success. If I pick a stone and I want to stone anybody, I will need to stone the throw anyhow. If I have a stone and I want to stone somebody, I must adjust my aim. The reason why your life is not having adjustments is simply because there is really nothing before you. The Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish. That's not exactly the original context. Agree with me, Daddy. The Bible simply means when people have nowhere they are going, they do not order their lives. They are careless. They are carefree. And they are without restraint. Any man you see that does not have discipline, it's not because he does not have discipline. Rather, he does not have vision. Any man that goes everywhere, any man that eats everything, any man that wears everything is without a vision. One thing vision does is streamlines your life. It makes your life narrow. Am I blessing somebody? If I'm blessing you, say yay. It looks as if I'm making progress. Goals. Now set a goal. I don't have time for that. I'm actually having exactly 15 minutes now. So I don't have time to teach you how to set goals. But if you don't have a goal, all your throws are already missed. If you don't have a goal, all your efforts are impotent. They will not be effective. You start by setting a goal. There's a mistake I need to correct, and there's a shift you need to have in your head. Most of us think the things we do should determine the things we want. No, it is the thing you want that determines the thing you should do. If you want to be a doctor, you can't join architecture class. Most of you today, your goals are birthed from your environment. The dream you have for a house is you looked at your neighborhood and you chose the kind of house to build. So before you started building your house, you have told God that you can't be bigger than this neighborhood. don't have to drive the car of your neighbor. You can do better. Your house does not have to be bungalow for you to be humble. Bungalow is not humility. It's just that you don't have money for decking. Stop thinking a small life equals to humility. Humility is not the same as poverty. Humility is not the same as smallness. Humility is recognition that you need God. That's all. You can bow down your head and greet me, but yet you are proud. You can actually be greeting me like this, but saying in your heart, so now this idiot. Progress. Set a goal. You can do better than what you are doing now. Your business can be 10 times bigger. Have you heard people say there's nothing in Kaduna? Have you heard it? That there's no money in Kaduna. Is there nobody in your street building a new duplex? What is he using to build it? Water? You are shouting there's no money. Is it not your neighbor that just bought a car that's 18 million? Does 18 million look like no money? If it is no money, why don't you have it? Some of you have not taken risk upon your life because you are locational deficient. You assume that if you do it in Kaduna, it can't be big. So you are looking for transport to go to Lagos. Who told you everybody in Lagos is big? I came from Lagos. Life was hard there. It's easier here. If I close 9, I still get home 9:30. If I close 9 there, I'm doing devotion for night in the car. What kind of life is that? They give you room to have money and God, you rejected it. You are looking for a man. Go to Lagos. If you are looking for PhD, they are up to 2 million there. There are 7 million people. Half of them are graduates. Kaduna, you have less competition. If you build fine house in Kaduna, people will come and snap picture. If you build fine house in Lagos, they will be saying your own is number 1.7 million. Even Jesus wanted to start right. He chose village that there are only 11 houses. You, instead of you to start where there are 11 houses, you want to go to Lagos that there is no land. There is no land. Tell your neighbor there's money in Kaduna. There's greatness in Kaduna. The contractors doing the road, what are they collecting? Why won't you start a construction firm and be so good? You know, all of you like this idea of small business. They say, what I do is, hey, I'm a small business. Why is your business always small? Can't we do big business? We keep telling ourselves, what are you doing? They say, I'm a small business holder. Why is your business small? Can't it be big? Some of you are robots. How are you doing? Fine. What's happening? I'm managing. Did they do it inside your system? Did they do computer? Some of you, it's not faith. Some of you are not living by faith. It's culture. In the morning when they say, how are you? What do you say? Even when you are not. If you meet a woman that her husband just slapped her, entering car, you say, madam, how now? What will she say? Will you hear her say, I'm not fine? Daddy slapped me. Will you hear her say that? No. Why? Because she likes her suffering being private. This is a shift, Abby. Daddy, do you know? If Jemilu knows that what he told me, I'm going to say it out, Jemilu will not tell me. What that means is that if you know what you are doing is going to be public, you won't do it. Do you know why people commit sin in secret? Because the strength of sin is in secret. If you still here and you come to pay tithe, do you know if daddy says hold your tithe and asks you 6 times, how did you get the money? How did you get money? Do you know you'll be offended? Try it. You'll be offended. Why? Something inside you cannot answer that question. And when you don't have answer for question, you are frustrated. I wish that they would be asking everybody that brings tithe. Let's not be collecting tithe in secret. Let's say tithe, write your full name, address, and office number. Let's follow up and ask what happened in the office that you hammered. Because yesterday night, somebody came here with short knicker. He comes on Sunday morning with a Range Rover. Listen, I believe in miracles, but some miracles are scary. Some should be investigated. Some should be looked into twice. Is Range Rover not it's a possible car? Tell your neighbor, set your goal. Be clear about your goal. Be clear, be clear. I want a big life. 2007, I went for vigil in church. And I wrote a goal. 2007, Redeemed Christian Church of God. Shagari. I wrote 12 goals of what I wanted in my life by 2017. By 2012. 5 years. And by 2010, I have hit all of them. And I found out that my life has shifted dramatically. And I started setting goals from that year till today. My year is planned. Next year is even worse. Because I have a calendar of things I won't do. You know, you like doing things for doing. I have a calendar now for what I will not do. Churches I will not preach. Events, if you invite me, I will not come. Life is a two-sided coin. Positive and... If you have do's, you should have don'ts. When you check Bible, they started with don'ts. Joseph has what he won't do. Daniel has what he won't do. But we will start with do. We do everything. We don't do nothing. If you set your goal, for us to talk about execution, if you set your goal, the next thing you must do is you must understand that for an action to become execution, it must be intentional. Write that down like that. For an action to be considered execution, it must be what? Intentional. That simply means it must be directed at a goal. Remember, I said a goal is something that you direct all your efforts to. For your efforts to be called execution, it must be tied to a goal. Meaning your action must be intentional. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Number 2. For your action to be considered execution, your action must be informed. I'm going to tie it with a story. It must be what? Informed. I'm going to tie it with a story. Thank you, Lord. It must be informed. What does that mean? It simply means the quality of your information will affect the quality of your execution. Information affects execution. Sam Adeyemi says, if you have known better, you would have done better. It simply means you don't do better until you know better. What I'm saying is that for your goal, get more information. For your dream, get more knowledge. There is something knowledge can do for you. It can improve your actions. If you want to improve your leadership, make up your mind to read 12 leadership books in 2022. Read 12 from men who have led. If you want to make money in 2022, can I talk about money? If you want to make money in 2022, read 12 books about money. Some of you are extremely spiritual. Anything that relates to money in church, you switch off and you are so broke. You want to pay school fees, you beg. If you have guts to beg, you have guts to read. Why are you ashamed of something that Jesus used? I get worried in church. You are trying to make the rich people feel like lepers in church. But when your roof is leaking, you write a letter to them in secret. Why didn't you stand and just do like this? Cap, cap. Kule. Why didn't you use your spirit to block the hole? Let me see whether the man selling roofing sheet will answer your prayer. You want to be rich next year? Read books on wealth. Get informed. It will change your action. Get informed. You want to build your influence? Read books about transformational leadership. You want to get people to do the things you want them to do? Read about personal skills. Get interpersonal skills. Get books about how to talk to people. Get books about how to win over people. Read books on the subject matter. So is it possible to be anointed and broke? If you are anointed and broke, you will become annoying to yourself, your wife, and your congregation. I'm not here to talk about money because I don't have some like some of you. But I need you to know that for you to open your mouth publicly to say life is not about money, don't be poor. If you are poor, you have no right saying that thing. If you are poor, you have no right. The statement has no sense in your mouth. Why? You wake up 4 a.m. You come back home 9:30 in the night for 40K. Your life is about money. Your life is about money. 16 hours of a whole day. You are doing it for 50K. Your life is about money. Just be bold. And don't be talking things that are offensive to your spirit. Tell your neighbor, get information. You know, when we say there's a seminar, how to be a millionaire, the first thing a normal Christian would do is what? Scam. And you are not a millionaire. How did they scam you? I was with some young people and they said, that's how pastors will use our money and buy private jet. I said, Gaskianka, but don't be angry. Answer this question. Can you get me all the amount of tithe you have paid all your life? How much is your offering? The highest you have ever given. Prophet offering, takata, all. I say if you total it and they're up to 5 million naira, I will pay you back. But if it is not, you are an idiot. You just sit in your home and become comfortable because pastors cannot retaliate. You just feel very comfortable to say nonsense. A private jet is like $10-20 million times 500 naira is about 10 billion. Your offering cannot buy a plain tire. You have been giving offering for 20 years. You can't buy a proper G-class tire. We're talking about somebody that gives 200 naira per day, per Sunday. The things you are saying has made heaven close over you. You are offending things that has no business with you. It's your mate that used to buy car and dash pastor. Your own is to go and sit down house. Since you know if you succeed, you just get cutlass. Tell your neighbor, mind what you're saying. The last point for tonight. The moment you begin to be intentional, meaning you have tied everything you're about to do to a goal, the next thing to do is to get information about the things you are looking for. And then the last thing you must do is that you must become intelligent about your action. So the first thing is that it must be intentional. Secondly, it must be informational. Third, it must be what? Intelligent. What is intelligence? Intelligence is about thoughtfulness. Thought what? Fullness. Thoughtfulness. Intelligence is about orderliness. If you want your action to begin to produce results from today, make sure your actions are orderly. Psalm 50 verses 23. He that offers praise glorifies me, And to him who put his conversation in an order, that one sees salvation every day. If you want to be saved from poverty, if you want to be saved from shame, if you want to be saved from lack, any kind of things you want to be saved from, one of these fundamental things you must learn today is that there is a way to be free without fight, and it is by ordering your life aright. He that orders his conversation. Conversation in Bible means behavior. The prodigal son collected $1 billion from his father. He lost it in 10 years. Why? Riotous living. Riotous living means unrestrained lifestyle. You are living like your friend when your friend works for Shell and you work for state government. Are you wise? The guy's allowance is your gross income, not his salary. Why are you living like your neighbor? Is your neighbor your standard? Goal. Set it. Become intentional. Intentional means be deliberate. If you want to drink water, ask yourself, what is the water going to do for me? And which kind of water will do it? That's how to be intentional. You want to go somewhere, ask yourself. I asked him, which kind of cloth am I wearing to stand before daddy? Did I not ask you? I asked. I don't go to church to preach till I ask the dress code that is acceptable. So that I won't stand on the pulpit and the whole church has shut down. They are just looking at me like this. You say, praise the Lord. And this content, I brought it from John Maxwell. Appear how you should appear. Be orderly. I stood here. He knows me. I can't stay here normally. I like walking about. But daddy came to talk. He stayed here. He didn't pass here. I just advised myself. I say, even if they choke you pin, don't come down. Elisha, if you know what I'm going through here, somebody, hallelujah. I want to share a short story. Do you have 2 minutes for a story? Which of you don't like story? All of you like story. See my sister say, "Kamana, kuna song guluma kamani." All right. It was a day in the life of somebody. I want to put this. I'll teach this better on Sunday, because tomorrow I'm a little bit skeptical about tomorrow. But I'll teach this on Sunday. I'll put it in 3 characters so you see how you can change your lives immediately. But there's this one simple story that I like so much. You know, I started it already. But the most fantastic thing I want to say about what I'm about to say to you is this. No matter what you are going through, you can change it. No matter what you are going through, you can change it. And sir, you don't need to change it for 20 years. There are certain things if you do, what you are going through will start changing today. Stop giving your problem long time. I read a Bible passage that touched my heart so closely. What is the story? Jairus' daughter. Jairus' daughter was sick. The sickness has become very bad. You know, Jairus was a centurion. In current day, Jairus is like a GOC. And Jairus heard that Jesus can do it. So Jairus, if Jesus can do it, Jairus traveled to go and see Jesus. So when Jairus got to Jesus, Jairus said to Jesus, "Can you come to my house to heal my daughter?" Jesus said, Sure, I can. Suddenly after that story, another story happened. The woman with the issue of blood. How did they start her own? Now. Jairus' son, they said, a certain man. The woman's son, they said, now. Now, a woman with the issue of blood, when she has heard of Jesus, she said to herself, if I can touch him, She does not want Jesus to come. He may not have the time to come. She will go. When Jairus was waiting for Jesus to finish what he was doing, the woman with the issue of blood took her healing and went home. I know you are waiting for the third day for your mind to shift. Somebody will live here today with what he has been praying for. And that story struck me strongly. There is nothing like tomorrow. Anything you want can happen today. Anything you want can happen now. Actually, every step to change starts now. Do you know, Daddy, Jairus was still waiting. As Jairus was waiting, Jesus was arguing. You remember the argument? Who touched me? 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 The disciple says, guy, calm down. Guy, calm down. The people here are over 2,000. Somebody must touch you. Jesus says, no. There is touch. And there is touch. And I love what happened next. Somebody came and said, Jairus, Zo, your daughter has died. Jairus' problem just changed. He came to Jesus to help his daughter not to die. Now she is dead. What killed her? Jairus. How do I know Jairus killed her? They told us another story. There was a centurion whose servant was sick, nearing dead. He went to Jesus. And Jesus asked, what will I do for you? He didn't say, come to my house. He said to Jesus, say the word, I will be on my way. And as Jesus says, fine. He went home. His servant was healed. He asked them, what time exactly did it happen? And then they said, exactly this time. And he said it was exactly the time Jesus spoke. And suddenly something struck me. And Jesus said, I have not seen this kind of faith in Israel. Believers don't have it. Believers don't trust my word like they trust me. Believers separate my word from my person. But my word is me. In the beginning was the word. The word was with God. That word was God. The same was with him in the beginning. In him, he said nothing was made that was made without him. And lastly, he says in him was life. And the life was the light of men. That light now shines in darkness. And darkness yet has not comprehended it. I'd like to ask you a question. Would you want Jesus to come to your house, or you just like him to say something now? God bless you.